This is the Body Wise podcast. Thank you for joining Laura and Cristina for another intimate exploration of collective wisdom.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Body Wise Podcast. Cristina Kerp here, and I am so excited to be joined by Anya Perry and Brianna Wilkerson. Anya Perry is an anti-diet health coach with deep passion for helping women achieve their goals and just thrive and feel good in their skin. And Brianna Wilkerson from Madewell 365 is an educational and encouraging health coach, also helping women, with food, with fitness, with essential oils, with business coaching, with motivation, like Renaissance woman. Last time I had you on here, it's like, what don't you do? What don't you do? Today, we're diving into New Year's resolutions, which again, is just the beginning of the year, right? Still a hot topic, and why diets don't necessarily work, why the types of habits you should focus on when trying to turn a new leaf, right? I wanted to start the episode with a quote I saw from Tiffany Ema on Instagram the other day that was just very good. And it says, "I'm not against people losing weight. I'm against diet culture selling the lie that weight loss is healthy and you should pursue it at all costs." So ladies, thanks for being on the show. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Yep.
So tell us, I guess either of you, whoever wants to go first, tell me a little bit about what you do, your client practices.
All right. I was like, wait, who go? Anya, you go, me go. Okay, I'll go. I was on it, for my last summit, right? But yeah, I think, that quote really resonates with me because I actually say that I help women with sustainable weight loss. And the reason why is that I think women do want to lose weight, but there's a goal that they're actually going after, right? So they're going after feeling good in their body, feeling energetic, feeling vitality again, just feeling at peace with food. And the way to do that is to practice these small, simple habits and mindset that will lead you towards sustainable weight loss, right? So I really appreciate that quote. So I just really help women ditch diets, find food freedom, and lose weight that lasts. And so there's a lot of emotional component around food that we all have. I know that I had, that I struggled with. And we view food a certain way in our bodies and our weight, and really helping them get to the deep, deep things that they believe, because our beliefs drive our actions and drive our habits at the end of the day, right? And then we do practical things like you can believe what you want, you can believe you're beautiful and all this stuff, and you're healthy, but are you healthy? So we do work on those simple habits as well. And so I do one-on-one coaching right now, but then as you said, I do some oils, and any way that I can support women in being well, that's what I want to do. So if that's with their body, if that's with their life, if that's with their business, for sure, I will do all that. But I really do mainly focus on the health and the body part.
Awesome.
And I was trying to unmute myself for a bit. I do appreciate the quote as well. And I've been in the industry for almost a decade. And my journey started with a grapefruit and egg diet as a teenager. So right now I call myself anti-diet, and I'm also switching a little bit from health and fitness coaching to more of mindset, performance, and habit coaching, because I am just tired of seeing women buying into the lie, buying detoxes. I have this quirky habit. Every January, I go to Target or grocery store to check out detox tea session. What do you think happens every January? It's gone. It's just plain gone. And I get DMs about detoxes and cleanses and all of that still. So I do believe there is so much more that we live for, not diets, right? And I think creating those habits, creating those patterns, routines that serve you, personalizing your approach, because gluten-free might be great for you, might not be good for your neighbor, or dairy-free, things like that, or keto, and many, many other things. So yeah, currently I am coaching. I've been working with women for the most part of my coaching practice. And I'm focusing more on creating that abundant energy and creating routines, habits that enhance their life and unlock the next level in their lives everywhere by taking small steps every day. And again, if you can see this is not putting you in a box of eating square containers every single day.
Right. I love that. I do think that anyone who works in this field long enough ends up there. Like we end up at that. It's the habits and the mindful and the mindset piece, which is the biggest piece of the puzzle. Because as you said, there is no one diet for everybody. And definitely detox teas are not the answer. Oh my gosh, it drives me bananas that is still marketed so strongly that people still kind of fall for that quick, I fix, or I don't know, weight loss. That must be very unpleasant. They're laxatives, people, like laxatives and diuretics. Like that's not fun. Oh my goodness. So how do you help your clients create supportive habits? Like especially in the new year, right? So let's say you're in this new year. I'm sure both of you get this influx of Anya, Brianna, I want to work with you. I have these goals, new year, new me. How do you say, okay, how do you bring reason to that? And how do you support your clients?
Yeah, so I think, similar to what Anya said, it's just, really starting with one small step at a time. But so I love client-led sessions. I know Anya probably does this too, where, they come in, these are the goals that they want, and really listening and kind of practicing more of an inquiry-based coaching where I'm like, I'm asking you a bunch of questions because I really want to draw out what's really going on and what do you really want? What do you really want to go after? And as we do that, we start to see, okay, you say you want to eat well, but guess what? You're not making any time to go to the grocery store, and it's just, they're not even realizing it, right? It's because there's this, there's this belief that says, I don't have time to make healthy meals. And so we kind of, we drive into those beliefs and then we kind of say, okay, how can we switch that? Is there an affirmation you need to say? Or do you practically need to just block out grocery time on your calendar and say, this is a meeting I'm not going to break? And so I think that's kind of how I go about the process, is really trying to draw in and see what exactly is the issue versus what they say is the issue. And then we say, okay, now let's work. And my coach, and I have multiple coaches in all areas of my life, but they do this to me too. And I'm just like, because I'm like, hey, I want to do this. I want to market this program. And they're like, do you really need to market this program? Like, what do you want? Oh, I'm like, I just want to do this. They're like, oh, okay. So getting to the core of what we really want. Because when we actually start to make goals and any actions align with our why or that actual thing we want, the habits become easier. And then from that point, I think I just really try to help them, slowly move towards that habit. So for example, if you want to drink 100 ounces of water a day and you don't drink any water, it's it's going to be a lot to try to do. So it's let's just try to drink 20, then let's just try to drink 30. But also, last thing I'll say is that really celebrating that 20 ounces of water, because I think so much clients are looking at I have so much ways to go. I'm not there yet, or I only lost 1 pound versus I want to lose 50. It's you need to celebrate that because you are one step closer. And so that act of celebration is very important in the work I do as well.
Awesome. I love that you said, the part where you were like, what do you really want? Because when you're actually doing what you truly want and what you think you want, the habits become easier. And I love that because it's so connected to our intuition and sometimes the narratives that we tell ourselves, this is what we think we should want, but what is it that you really want? And I think that more women are awakening to that, which is awesome. What about you, Anya?
Yeah, and similar to Brianna, I feel like this is super important to get clear. And what Brianna mentioned just now, it's getting this clarity that will help you actually identify what you need to get done in your journey, whether you're trying to become a weightlifter, I have weightlifting practice too, or you want to lose weight, or you want to actually stop being in the zone of burnout all the time and finally focus on yourself, finally prioritize your habits, routines, your thoughts. And I think it's really important. I do this cool exercise with my clients, every single one of them, and they love it because it creates this aha moment. It's actually auditing your lifestyle, looking at what you have. And then that's my gentle way of calling them out on their BS and saying, okay, this is what you do. This is where you are not paying attention to your time. This is where you're idling so much. You're just letting your life pass by. And these are the habits that you need to focus on, but also take an inventory of what good is already in place, what good habits, patterns, actions every single day, because you'll be surprised. You already have the momentum, but to create more of it, you need to actually zero in on that.
Awesome. I love that. Audit your lifestyle. So what are some of the things that you see most often? They're is there are there certain things that reappear over and over again that people are kind of there are roadblocks that people have, the habits that are in their lifestyle so what are those?
Those are usually, I don't have time for myself. I don't have the money. Eating healthy or exercising is expensive. I can't afford this. I'm responsible for everything. I cannot take more responsibility of taking care of for myself. Trying to think what else. What are the common excuses? Just getting in your own. And the most common answer I get 90% of the time, and that's my kind of clients, I get in my own way with self-sabotage, procrastination, excuses, the most sophisticated ones. And that's what I see a lot. And gosh, I was doing all of that stuff in the past before, and I know exactly why, because it's human nature. It's as simple as that. We all do that. And to come out of that block and overcome it, you just have to take simple steps. That's all.
Awesome. Yeah, very true. I think self-sabotage is I don't know. I think all humans do it. I don't know if women do it more than men. I know that I did it my whole life. And sometimes I feel like, does that stem from, again, a deep seated, like a little seed somewhere that we believe that we don't deserve whatever it is that we're after, the belief that we deserve to be happy or healthy or, thriving. I don't know. Brianna, do you see that a lot? I don't make time for myself. You mentioned no time for the grocery store. And what are some of, other than like blocking out the time, which I do love that. I do know some self-care kind of coaches who say that like you have to put in your calendar the time. What other tools do you recommend to women to kind of get out of their own way?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, so when I mentioned affirmations. So for one, when I was first introduced to affirmations, I'm like, this feels really woo-woo. Like, am I going to say like, I am present, or like, it just felt weird. But I think as I started realizing what I said about my own life and my own health, I realized, oh my gosh, because I'm saying this, I'm speaking it into being. Like, I'm telling myself I don't have enough time. I'm telling myself I'll never reach my goal weight and sustain it. And so really what affirmation is, a positive statement, truth, where I'm just rewiring what I say. Because literally, all over, whether you like follow a certain religion, all kind of books, self-help books are talking about this now. Like, your thoughts and your words have the power to bring something into reality. And so we definitely work on that. And that's hard. I'm realizing as I'm going through my own affirmations and even in my own health, postpartum, 7 months postpartum, I'm like, I don't want to believe that one. I don't want to believe that my body is amazing for bringing in a human. It's just like, I have to like really start to tell myself these things. So yes, you're worth taking care of, you're worth getting sleep. And so it starts there. And so we really, in a couple sessions, just really dive deep into those beliefs. And usually clients leave with like an affirmation they're adding. So that's one. But then also getting support and accountability other than me, So if you live with someone, really, even if they're not necessarily going along that journey with you, just saying, hey, like, can you hold me accountable? And that's actually very vulnerable because they're going to call you out. So imagine your husband calling you out when you're like, I don't want to eat past 9. And he's like, honey. And you're like, excuse me, I've had a long day. You just like blow up at him. He's like, I'm not going to tell you that. But that's it. Like, it's like being humble enough to ask for the accountability and being willing to be challenged by someone other than a coach, I think is very powerful. And then, I just think the words that we tell ourselves around achieving all of it at one time, it's that all or nothing mentality. Anya and I were just talking about this where, if I can't work out for 30 minutes today, I'm just not going to work out at all.
I love that. It's true. Like I do that. I'm so guilty of that. If I like cannot make time to like actually just go to the gym, like if I can't go to the gym for at least an hour, I'm like, well, I'm not going to go. And I'm in Virginia now, which is, it's really cold outside. So it's not like I can just go for a walk. It's like, if you're going to be active, you essentially have to do it indoors. And it kills me because I've really just had to learn to be like, even if I dance around my house or again, do squats in the basement, or just this morning before it got to, like I made myself go for a walk, even if it was only 20 minutes before I had like my coaching call starting, I did it. And I was like, you know what? I feel good. I was so proud of myself. I was like, and even if it's cold, I bundled up and I did it, Yes.
And celebrating that. So I think one thing I have clients do is like, when you reach a certain milestone, whatever it is, if it's walking 20 minutes 3 times a week or whatever, or, whether it's weight loss goal, how can you celebrate yourself? That may mean like, I had one client was like, listen, I just need to sleep in. I'm like, okay, you sleep in. That is your celebration. And, find your own way of rewards. I think that's very important at the end of the day.
Awesome. So Anya, what are so obviously, I know you mentioned on your website, anti-diet coach. And again, I think we all hear like, although we can help people with dietary changes, I also agree because I feel like the word diet has been co-opted, like has been like, kidnapped by the diet industry, we call it, but really it's just what you eat and we can help people make better choices so they feel better. So why do in your opinion, why do diets not work? Like, why don't diets work?
I think they don't work because they put us in a box. They put us in the restrictive mode and we don't respond well. And I actually, in the last probably 3 or 4 months, I had to turn away clients who wanted me to count their macros. And I don't want that. I don't want you to plug in things in your calculator for life or for years to see the results that you want to see, because I think the method to achieve healthy weight is much simpler than diets. It's much simpler. It may be a little bit harder at the beginning because there's a learning curve, but eating real foods, eating what nourishes you and paying attention to your body cues, That's simple. In my mind, that's simple. It may not be easy at first. And those are two different things. And I think that's really important to reiterate that we are very, very different. Someone thrives well on carnivore diets. Someone needs to heal their gut. Someone is okay and super active and needs more carbohydrates in their diet. So that's why when the keto gets the bad rap, right? Because keto can be incredible, but it also can be done the wrong way. And there are so many ways to look at the approaches and take the best from them and build your own system. And that's where coaches come to play, because you don't have all the time in the world to sit and build your own ideal diet. I hope that answers your question.
No, absolutely. It does. People, I get that all the time online, like through blogging, which is part of the reason why I became an NTP, because people were like, there's so much information out there, but sometimes that can backfire a little bit, where then there's like too much information, and yet people bouncing around from diet to diet to diet. And really what they need is something to be custom tailored to their needs. And sometimes you need an objective person to look and be like, at the whole picture and make these recommendations. So I love that. So Brianna, how about you? I love that both of you, by the way, I love that you guys like work together and are friends, but also have kind of different approaches to your business. And that's beautiful, because it makes the point of what we're talking about here. So anyway, so Brianna, in your opinion, why don't diets work?
As someone who has, I struggled with under eating and then overeating, and then trying to fix that overeating with, Slim Fast, Weight Watcher, like any diet. And growing up, just being around women in my life that were dieting and were always dieting, I think I just started to ask myself, like, do these diets actually work? And, reading I've been reading the Intuitive Eating book, and it just talks about like the diets have failed us. Like we think we failed, but the diets actually, most of them aren't set up to actually give you sustainability and actually make your body thrive. They're done for a specific reason. Now, a diet at the end of the day is how a person normally eats, how a culture normally eats. What we know diets to be is these restrictive things done for a particular purpose, usually for the wrong mindset. Now, you talk a lot about autoimmune inflammation. That's a diet, and that's not bad. It's because people should approach them because they're wanting a specific thing to heal themselves. Now, but if I approach that saying like, this is the Bible, like this is the way, the truth, and the life, like this is the only thing, and I go around and tell people, why aren't you doing keto? Why aren't you doing paleo? It's like, that's not right. Like it's one way. And so I think diets are great. I think all diets are great. It's just how we approach them. I think most women are approaching them for something to try to fix them. When really what Anya's saying, what you're saying, we need to figure out a customized approach. But there's so much, it's hard because the diet is very black and white. We want the black and white. We don't want the gray. Right. We want to do insanity for 7 days a week, which is insane. That's why it's called insanity. If you guys know what I'm just like, I remember when I did that, I was like, oh, this is stupid. But I never kept up with it, right? Versus like, Brianna, you should just go walking twice a week for 10 minutes. Like just start there. We want it all quickly. And the diets promise that. So if you could even take some concepts from some diets and then just, allow yourself the freedom and release yourself of expectations to just go about it slowly and customize that way, then it's going to work. But that's why I think sometimes you need a coach or a friend or someone to help remind you you're doing a great job. So even in our business, is like Anya tells me all the time, Bri, you're doing a great job. I'm like, it sucks, whatever, it's falling apart. But I actually am, but it's just the mindset, because I'm not where I want to be, right? The same thing with with diets. It's just they're not bad, but most of us are approaching them for the wrong reason.
I definitely agree. I think that, again, everyone has a diet. It doesn't matter what you eat. What literally the definition of diet is like what you eat. It doesn't have to be a prescribed diet or something. And yeah, I feel like I call them dietary tools to figure out the best way that I should eat for myself. And again, I don't feel like I follow a diet. I just eat the food that makes me feel good. Could that be categorized as paleo or low carb paleo or sometimes keto or maybe autoimmune? Yeah, but it's a mishmash of what works for me. And the beauty of it is that it changes, right? Because our needs change. So that's something that you cover with your clients. Because again, as thinking of like starting the new year and after a certain goal per se, and the nuances that you mentioned, right? That's what people have the hardest time with. They want the black and white. Everyone wants a manual. Tell it to me, ABC 1, 2, 3. And that's just not how nutrition and how our bodies work. So how do you guys kind of guide your clients through the nuances, through the way their body's going to evolve and their diet's going to evolve to, over time?
Yeah, I think it's really important here. That's what diets I wanted to add. Diets are missing this component of learning, actually creating the habits, because you're following the manual. The manual says, point one, do this. Point two, do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. Otherwise, you're going to mess up. Follow this. If you follow the wagon or perceived wagon, go back to point one. And when you're doing it either with a coach or when you're learning more about your body, when you're creating habits, you're actually learning how to customize those things and take those baby steps versus jumping into something, giving it a try, and 7 days later throwing in a towel and saying this does not work for me. But also, I think what's really, really important when it comes to nourishing your body, to creating those habits, is to give it time. Because I often have the saying that your habits are not a crock pot. Set it and forget it doesn't work for your habits, right? We love to those simple meals, but with habits, you have to work a little bit. You have to learn about yourself. Why are you doing? What's behind your behavior? And I've seen in my practice women who do their best and succeed faster than anybody else. Women who stop allowing their ego getting in the way and say, "I want it now. I don't want anything else. I just want the change right now." This is the detox solution, right? The pill solution. And women who also expand their mind and allow the learning process to absorb those habits, to customize their diet, to listen to their body cues, and just be open and receiving in this way. I deviated from your question a little bit.
No, but that was wonderful. It's so true. I love that. You can't, your habits are not a crock pot. You can't set them and forget it. It's so true. There is this evolution though. And I agree that it takes a consistent, but you can't teach someone, what is the proverb, right? Like if you give someone the fish, they can eat for a day if you teach someone to fish. And so it's true. It's about teaching someone how to listen to their body and how to be able to troubleshoot on their own and kind of figure it out and over the long run. So, when you get all these women, and I mean, we all get this, and I deal even just today, with a I work for functional medicine doctor, so I don't coach people on my own, but through the practice. And she comes in and she has a slew of symptoms and all these things going on. But at the tippity top of her list of the chief complaints, the thing she wants to accomplish is weight loss. And I'm like, well, and granted, through the practice, that's not what we do. So I have to tell her it can be a side effect of balancing your hormones and changing your diet. But, so how do you communicate to somebody that, yes, weight loss may come, like maybe a side effect, but that's, maybe we're going to go about it a different way. And how do people respond to that?
Yeah, that's kind of, it's tricky because I would say like most of, my podcast, Sustainable Weight Loss Podcast, all that, it says weight loss and it says sustainable. I think similar to what you're saying, like, hey, that's possible for you, but there are other things going on with your health that may actually need to be dealt with first. And at the end of the day, and I think with my clients, I don't know why they tend to be like my mom's age, so they're older. So they're actually done. They're like, listen, I've been around way longer than you, double your life. And I've done every diet. I'm actually ready to be healthy. So, but sometimes along the way, they'll, the scale doesn't budge and they're like, why isn't it budging? Or I gained 5 pounds over the holidays. And I just reminding them, like, at the end of the day, weight is a measurement that we need to pay attention to, but it is not the only thing that matters.
Right.
And you have to keep telling yourself, it's not your weight does not equal your worth. Your weight does not equal your happiness. Like, what are some other things that have made you happy today? And so really just, again, drawing that out, because guess what? I'm even tempted, especially now being postpartum, I'm tempted to sit there and be like, oh my gosh, how come the scale hasn't moved that much? How come I'm not back in these clothes? And I just have to say, okay, stop. So first of all, give yourself a lot of grace. You're actually doing the things you tell your clients to do that will eventually get there, or maybe not. Maybe your body has changed. You're a mom now,
Right.
And I think that's one thing you mentioned earlier, like our bodies change, our demands on our body and our lives change. And so while before I was an avid CrossFitter and did all this stuff and running all this stuff, it's like now I'm like, oh my gosh, I got 10 minutes in. I'm so excited, And so yeah, just so excited to do 10 minutes of working out. So even now I'm practicing. I'm basically putting myself on through my own coaching program, like practicing, just really celebrating those small steps in this new body that I have.
Absolutely. I think that that's such an important topic because I agree. Like, again, I understand, especially as someone who's lived in a larger body, like I understand like wanting to feel good in your skin. And I get that there's sometimes like, just saying that you want to lose weight doesn't mean that you want unhealthy or unrealistic goals. It could just be, getting to feel more comfortable or in a place where but our bodies do change. And I'm sure with what you mentioned, older women, that's something I see a lot where women go through menopause and then their body changes and they have a really hard time dealing with that. But it's like, is it, you're not failing, or is it just kind of a little normal, and where, how much are we going to, because you can manipulate, right? We all know how to do it. Like if you know nutrition, you're like, oh, I know what'll make the pounds come off, but is it going to help you overall? Like, I'm not going to do that, So that makes a really good point of especially talking to them through how their body and their needs change. So how do you deal with that, Anya?
I think it's really important. Sometimes I'm a little more edgy and right in your face by asking the question about your overall health, whether you want to lose the weight or you want to be healthier. And always, the root is always, we want more health, because if you start describing how you want to feel in your body, right? I want to have a ton of energy. I want to be able to lift a box over my head. I want to play with my kids, run after my dog and not feel like I'm dying. I want to have an occasional treat and don't feel like I have to beat myself over it. All of those mental and physical things that get described, they are all components of health. So when I shift the focus from the weight per se, sometimes it's making someone to put the scale away and stop obsessing over certain parameters. Sometimes it's a simple question. I often see women asking, I want to be this number. I want to be why can't I go back to that number? And it's asking them, what does that number mean to you? What does it actually represent to you deeply on the level that where you would find you're loving yourself the way you are right now, the way you want to be, and going that way. And I think that shifts the focus from obsession over a very specific number on a scale.
Yes, there's definitely, it's interesting because I feel like I can't relate to that when women are like, I'm 28 pounds and like they know they gain like 3 pounds. I'm like, I literally fluctuate like 6 pounds from day to day. I don't know if other people, if it's that, I'm like, I am just like, it depends on what I eat or what I drink, what I had for dinner, if I like slept well, if like I'm getting my period. I'm like, these people who know to the ounce how much they weigh, I'm like, I don't get that. Like, that's never been me. I'm not that person who's ever had like a consistent number. So I find that interesting, but I do see that a lot. I get a lot of women coming to me who are consistently saying, they're looking after this number, and a number, what's a number, and then I ask them, I'm like, when you were that number, like truly, like, was it the happiest time of your life? Have you felt amazing? Because it's like the way, actual happiness has so little, at the end of the day, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. A lot of women actually recall that when they finally got their abs, they were actually miserable, because they were starving and like malnourished.
Yeah, and I have a very personal example I can share. I don't mind sharing with you. Before I met my husband, he lost 200 pounds. So I had the very bright example to ask, so did you feel very different? He was like, no, until I changed my mindset, until I changed how I was talking to myself in my head. And that's a male. Females are even more emotional and more have self-doubt and insecurities, all of that bubbling up. So yeah, it's very possible that you'll achieve that number. And if you didn't do the deeper inner work, you're not going to feel any different.
Yeah, 100%. So, how do you help clients, set New Year's resolutions that stick? And what are some of your, favorite tools and resources for them in that regard?
Oh, such a hard one, because I think it's like when you set any goal, there's so many parts to the goal, right? I would say Anya is definitely the habit queen over here. That's why our podcast is the habit queen, and great goal leader and setter. But I think, again, it goes back to what, we asked this question for those who started enjoying the summit. If at the end of 12/31/2021, you're looking back, what do you want to have accomplished? Like, how do you want to feel? And if they feel, I just want to feel healthy and energized, or I want to be 20 pounds lighter, whatever it is, it's like, okay, then what's going to help you get there? Like, what is that small thing you need to do, whether that's monthly, quarterly, weekly, daily, that's going to help you get there? And so I think you starting with the end in mind really helps bring it forward. And so, I like to get down to the T. Like, I do this. I got a planner that did this for me, like break it down. So rather than thinking like, oh my gosh, I want to write a book, all this stuff, it's like, what do I need to do each day to get me towards that book? Or what do I need to do each day to get me towards that certification or whatever? And so I think that, having that big goal and then breaking it down to little small ones is something that a lot of people, myself and some clients, have found really helpful.
Awesome. Thanks. How about you, Anya?
Yeah, and I think I agree with Brianna. Breaking it down, that's what most of us don't do with all or nothing approach, right? In the summit, I'm talking about micro workouts, which is such a simple way to get your fitness in. And so many women don't know about it, how you can actually do something tiny and still see the results. I love the 1% rule. I think 1% of your day is just 15 minutes. That's all I require from my clients to dedicate their lives to their self-care, which is nutrition, fitness, wellness, anything. And I think you can see changes because think about it, 100 days, it's 100% better than you were 100 days ago, right? And if you, I'm a big fan of James Clear, his habits and the way he builds habits. So I think that part is creating that tiny routine and every day deviating from your old course, but also having, we talked about clarity a lot, which I think clarity is super important, having actually a system for you, knowing your personality. No one thinks that what kind of chronotype you are. Are you an owl? Are you an early bird? Where do you fit in your workout? How can you adjust your schedule? Even if you're a rebel, you'll approach habits differently than a person who is an obliger, right? Because if I would tell an obliger something, they'll be like, dun, 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 I'm going to do everything. And rebel will tell me, no, habits, routines, forget about it. I'm going to do it my way. So knowing yourself deeply and that innate knowing about your personality, your habits, your routines, and adjusting the course. And if, as you can see, we're big on customizing and adjusting because I don't believe in cookie cutter solutions. So that 1%, having the clarity, having the system in place and the clear strategy how to get on your goals. And of course, accountability is just the cherry on top because that's why Brianna and I constantly have coaches. That's why we're enrolling in programs. That's why we're business besties. This is how we grow. I think that's how humans evolve. Someone needs to keep an eye on us in a way.
That's awesome. I love that you guys are business besties. But I think everything you said is so true. Like you have to meet people where they're at and like what, essentially give them the tools that are going to work for their personality types. And I know you guys have something coming up and I'm excited to be a part of it. So tell me about the summit.
So yeah, we have this incredible event. Brianna and I hosted 4 summits. This is our 5th summit online. Obviously, we can't meet in person, but this is an online summit hosted by women for women who are ready to have more strategy, more clarity, and have that pick me up in January where most people start slacking on their habits, the goals and resolutions that we set in place. And this is for women who are there's so many good speakers and talks in the summit talking about tiny aspects of your life that can make a big difference. So this is a 7-day event we're hosting on January 25th through January 31st with 2 encore days. So you get 5 days of speakers, 6 topics each day. And every day you can watch them. You can win incredible prizes. There are a ton of free resources in a beautiful small community where women can engage, ask questions, ask follow-up questions with speakers after their talks. And we have you, Cristina, too.
Yes, I'm super excited. I'll be talking about like food as medicine and kind of using like elimination protocols to figure out trigger foods and the kind of the symptoms that you could be. A lot of people don't realize like what symptoms are related to the food I'm eating or shouldn't be eating and kind of dive into that. So I'm really excited to be a part of it. I know my sister was last year and I had Brianna on the podcast and I'm excited that I was able to have, Brianna and you back and you here and to talk about it. Cause I think that you mentioned that the timing of it is so perfect, right? Cause I agree. People come out the gate really hard in the new year. And this always happens as I see it when I go to the gym and, I go to the gym regularly year round, but it was packed. It's packed in January, which I hate. And then but come February, it's back to normal. So I think that having this summit to kind of, hey, and I think it also reiterates that it's not a diet. It's not a short-term fix. It's lifestyle changes for long-term sustainable, like achievement of your goals, whether that's, strength or better sleep or weight loss or health or whatever. So I'm really excited about it. So I know that tell me a little bit, there's a free version and then there's what is the benefit of the paid version? They get to watch the recordings and they get access to the community.
Yeah, so we have the free version. Summit is generally free. We hosted it this way. We're going to continue doing this because this is our way to empower women to get that knowledge, take action. But the paid version is pretty awesome because you get to watch everybody right away. You can binge watch if you want. And it's really good if you know that your weeks are packed, you're busy, you don't have time for watching 5, 10, 15-minute talks every single day. So you get access to all of the videos, 24 speakers, all of the goodies. And you also get a workbook because I believe we all need those instrumental things to put things in motion, put them on paper, answer questions, and work your way through the workbook. So that, and during the free summit, you have you have an ability and chance to win many wonderful prizes, thousands and thousands of dollars. We lost count how many, because every speaker gave away either a coaching session or a physical book, ebooks, online courses, you name it. But during the paid summit, you have access to bundles of those prizes. So you enter a raffle to also win those incredible packages. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty exciting to see women engaging and collaborating in the summit.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm super stoked. I know I'm doing print copies of my books for the giveaway, and then for the free, for the free content and the free stuff, I'm doing one of my ebooks. And I really love that you give people access to, the speakers in the Facebook group, in the private community after the talks, because I really think that that's usually where, people kind of start firing off about like, I have that question, I want to learn more. And so I love that component about the summit, which really makes it interactive, which I think especially now more than ever, since all of us are like craving for human interaction. And it's just wonderful. I'm so excited to be a part of it, and I can't wait for it to start. So people can sign up now, yes?
People can sign up now. People can purchase now. The lowest price is right now, $47. And it starts on January 25th.
Awesome. And then, so that's right around the corner. So when this airs, it'll be, just starting, and then we can get people, rolling and in there. And I hope to see you guys there. Tell me a little bit more about your podcast. I know Brianna has her Sustainable Weight Loss podcast, and you can find her at Madewell 365. And you have Habit Queen podcast?
Yes, I do. I work with high achievers, women who sometimes run themselves to the ground a little bit too frequently. So the Habit Queen podcast, that's my jam. I call myself a habit queen, and considering my history where I was absolutely undisciplined, unhealthy, and all of those things, now I get to teach. I'm also call myself the habit queen in the making, because I'm learning every single day. I'm learning and sharing those topics on my podcast.
Oh, I love that. I think that a lot of our listeners can relate to that, or, those high achiever, go women that burn out. I might be one too. Could be me. I relate. So that's awesome. I can't wait to take a listen. So tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me at anyaperry.com. I hang out more on my not on my website, but on my Instagram. My website needs to be updated.
Okay.
It's anya.perry, which is ANYA.PERRY. And I have a tiny Facebook community, which I love dearly. It's called Balanced Body Community.
Okay.
And of course, during the summit, this is the Healthy New Year Summit community. That's where I'm going to spend most of my time until the end of the month, plus some.
Yeah, I can't wait. So the Healthy New Year Summit's going to be awesome, and everyone can find you. We will also put the links to your podcast and your website and your Instagram in the show notes. And then Brianna, who had to go, but she is on Instagram at Madewell365, and her website 345. Sorry. And then I always, because I'm doing the Whole Foods is 365. That's me always thinking about food. So Madewell 345, and Madewell345.com is her website. And both of you have your coaching businesses, and so people can sign up if they want to work with you guys there. And also information on the summit, but I will be putting that in the notes as well and sending out emails, and I've been doing that. So I'm so excited, and thank you guys. Thank you for being on the podcast. It was so nice to meet you. I love meeting Brianna last year and keeping in touch, but it's so nice to know you now as well.
Yes, Cristina, it was so nice to finally meet you in person too. It's my pleasure.
Yeah, well, we'll see you guys soon. And everyone listening, make sure to check out the links in the notes so you can join us in the summit. And I hope you have a great day. Remember to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. See you next time.